What's up, guys? Before getting in today's video, I just wanted to quickly mention just a few things. The first being the podcast channel, the 1HP podcast channel. Links to that can be found in the description below. It's a brand new channel. All my full-length podcasts will be posted there. The second is I am planning on going to the US, and I've been kind of planning these things out for a little bit, which is why the uploads haven't been as consistent, but a couple of IRL trips, Southeast Asia and the US, they're coming up pretty soon. So I will try my absolute best to stay consistent with the content on YouTube. I will, however, be streaming that on Twitch, so definitely come check me out there. The last thing I want to mention is more of a heads up. I do plan on covering more general MMORPG content on this channel, including first impressions and reviews and previews, upcoming games, all that good stuff. I do plan on continuing to stream and play Lost Ark, cover Lost Ark on this channel as well, but just wanted to give you guys a heads up. Sorry for the long drawn out intro on this one. Let's begin. I say we get right into it. So what I'm going to do here, guys, is I'm going to go ahead and screen share the actual changes here. Again, big shout outs to ATK for putting this together. He doesn't actually know I'm using it, but I'm sure he won't mind, right? So the first one here, we're going to talk about the Hallucination set. They changed stack on crit to stack on no crit. Easier stacking. Big buff. ATK's thoughts. Big buff. Same buff duration as Salvation. No damage related, but not damage related, but keeping the buff is so much easier now. Any thoughts and reactions to the Hallucination change?
Can I start with?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Sure. Yes, I do run Hallucination with my both of my robust SoulFist and also my summoner, and I do feel always when we're doing the mechanics, we do find really frustrating about Hallucination that we have to hit the boss and actually maintain the buff, but it became 90 seconds to 120 seconds, so we have 30 more seconds to maintain the buff. Yeah, I think it got really better. So it got more convenient to use Hallucination set for the people who's using it. So yeah, I think it's a really good patch. It's a really good buff. That's a really good one.
Okay, so I didn't actually look at the patch notes in Korean here. According to what ATK wrote, it says stacks on crit to stack on no crit. Is that like, can you kind of elaborate on that? But does it still stack on crit, but it also just stacks on non-crits, or does it only stack on like non-crits? How does that work exactly?
They stack both on crit and non-crit.
Okay. So there, it's just, it literally works like Salvation then. Poem, essentially. You just attack and okay, gotcha. What do you think about that change, Benji?
Hallucination?
Yeah.
So I think it used to take about, for me when I tried it, it takes about 10 seconds to 15 seconds to build up the hallucination. But that I had to rebuild the stacks every 90 seconds. But now they've reduced that 15 second, 10 second to lower. Like you don't have to build it for as long as before.
Right.
As long as you used to before. And it's definitely gonna be lasting for a longer period of time. So the downtime is kind of gone now. It's not there anymore. So I think it's a
Would you say this is a major buff for Hallucination set users, like a big time buff, or more of like a quality? I mean, obviously the DPS has to go up, right? At the end of the day.
Yeah. I think it is a quality of life, but then I think it would end up with, you could say it would end up with like some bump in DPS as well.
Right. Gotcha. Okay. So that was really the only change to the class sets. Excuse me. Let's talk about Gunlancer. It looks like their change was bash range increase from 70% to 30%. Tripod. Bash actually lands after a few red skills. I mean, I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory. Anything that you guys want to add to that?
Oh yeah, go ahead, JiuDau.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I was maining Gunlancer 3 years ago. I was playing Gunlancer since then. And I also played the blue one beginning of season 2, and currently I'm running on red Gunlancer. The problem is not the attack range for the bash. The problem is that we have 4 DPS skills. I mean, actually, it's 5, including the fire bullet. But we have DPS skill, certain DPS skill that we have to max the level of skill to 12. So we have to run the bash with level 7 that we even can't reach the tripod on the third one that increases the attack range. So what I think about this patch is they should be increasing the original bash range to 30%, and they should be adding 40 more percent for the tripod.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. Benji, do you play Gunlancer?
Yeah.
You do. What are your thoughts with this here?
The Gunlancers have been asking for this buff for the past like 3 years. Like increase in bash, just the quality of life type of thing.
Yeah.
The only thing is moving some tripods. You have to max out bash now in order to get this range buff. And I looked into it, and I don't think it's gonna be a big problem to max this bash and taking some out from some other red Gunlancer killer skills. So yeah, I think it's a very good buff for Gunlancer.
Okay. Okay.
But I think they should have I think they should have done this long time ago.
Yeah.
It should have been there already.
Okay. Okay. So guys, we are going to be talking a little bit more about personal opinions and just the general feel from like in regards to these changes in Korea. So just for this section right here, we're just gonna try and quickly go over these little segments here and get like a quick opinion on the actual change. Next we got Destroyer. This is Mr. Benji's class. This was a pretty big one, man. Gravity meter gain tripods added, animations changed, gravity engraving changed, new skill added. One of the biggest wins, according to ATK, gravity training is 100% viable. Playstyle is completely different. Transforms much faster. Definitely a great class for newbies. Benji, let's start with you, man. What are your thoughts here?
I think it's a big buff on Destroyer, and especially for gravity training. Basically, maybe with a little over exaggeration, I think the gravity training is gonna play like a blue Gunlancer, like invincible pretty much throughout the raids.
Yeah.
Because they can constantly turn on their bonking mode. And if it actually makes it to the live server just like this, it's gonna be too OP. And
Really?
I don't think it's gonna make it to the live servers.
Wow. Okay,
like
so
this.
obviously 2 OP. I mean, when it comes to survivability, obviously 2 OP there. We know what they do. They're like Superman when they're in their identity stance. But how's that damage? Because there is a ramp up period and you can't really move, right? Now, be it the range is pretty decent, but that boss is always moving around. Do you find any difficulty trying to get legitimate DPS or just get consistent DPS rather, just due to that ramp up time with moving targets?
You do, because once you go into gravity training mode, you use your auto attack, and then basically you can get in about 16 bonks, I think, around 15 to 16 bonks, but you speed up after one another.
Right.
So it's just like
Right.
bonk, bonk,
The
bonk,
ramp up
bonk,
time,
bonk, bonk,
right.
bonk, 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 like
Right.
that, right? But if you stop in the middle, trying to position yourself back to the head, then that process has to start over again.
Right.
Like, so there is a DPS loss there, but there are always those people who can make it work. Like if you're skilled enough and if you're experienced and raised enough, there's gonna be people that's gonna be able to make it work.
Right.
And actually another huge buff is seismic hammer.
Mm.
Because Seismic Hammer is one of the strong. It was a main DPS skill for gravity training, and they instead of the cooldown tripod, people are saying the cooldown tripod was better DPS wise,
Mm.
but it's not like you can constantly use Seismic Hammer anyways. And they removed the cooldown tripod, and they put 40% increase on DPS
Mm.
on that skill. So yeah, I
That's
think
a
it's a
wow.
I think it's a huge buff for gravity training.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it, I think to the it's a buff to the point that I don't think they play any gravity training destroyers.
Oh,
Mm.
Benji, they
Yeah,
removed the the hardened body. I mean, they removed the
Nasty.
uh yeah, instead of the, they didn't remove the fast ready. I mean,
So
yeah,
the cooldown's still there.
yeah,
Oh,
it's
okay,
cool.
okay.
We still have cooldown. Yeah,
Oh, okay. So there's cooldown still there. Then you have a choice then. I think that's even better now.
yeah, we can have a choice, and they actually removed something really stupid, which you get decreased damage while using the skill, using the seismic. You get 40% decreased damage, and we don't even need that when we're playing PvE. So yeah, I
Wait,
think they,
40. Oh, you mean damage reduction
yeah, damage
while using
reduction
this? Yeah,
tripod.
yeah, 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 yeah. They removed that.
Yeah, they moved that and they changed it to increase damage for 40%.
Oh,
Oh
so they got rid
wow.
of the worthless tripod and then put in a damage
Giga.
tripod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Wow. JiuDau, what do you think about this new destroyer? Oh, hold on one sec, real quick, before we move on to JiuDau's opinion on this. Um, Benji, your
Yeah,
bonks
yeah.
for those destroyers in NA, the Makoko destroyers that want to be, that are aspiring Benji destroyers out there. How much can they expect a bonk to do, like in the correct build and for a gravity training destroyer at end game? How much are those bonks actually doing?
Bonks in the identity mode
Yes.
or
Yeah,
perfect score?
in the identity. The bonk,
Identity
yeah.
mode.
Sorry, sorry, I don't know the destroyer lingo, but I
I
think bonk. I
think
mean the left mouse button click in the
I
identity.
think with the proper, well, I saw some of the footage of someone testing it in PTR servers. It was
Okay,
doing about 11 mil per bonk.
11 mil per bonk. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so with the proper buff and everything, I think it can do about 20 mil per bonk.
Wow.
Wow.
At least 20
Wow.
mil.
Wow. Sounds strong. That sounds stronger than Striker. Okay, I'll stop. I'll stop. Sorry. I'm trying to keep it
No, no, no,
informative,
you
guys.
started. No, 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 you can't stop. You started already. You started
I'll
it.
stop. I'll stop.
You're the one who started it, man.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. JiuDau, what are your thoughts on the destroyer changes, man?
I mean, I do play Destroyer when I do the bus things, and for the change, I didn't try out the new skill, but
Uh-huh.
I just saw the patch note,
Right.
but
Right.
yeah, but I saw that, I mean, 2 or 3 of the skills get more damage
Mhm.
that we were using before, and those skill got stronger, right? They got a good buff for the both of the engravings.
Right.
And I really love to play the gravity one before they nerfed the gravity engravings. It was like when the boss was on a stagger mode, we did like hundreds of damages. I mean, we did a great damage when the boss was on the stagger mode. But after they just nerfed it right away.
Yeah, it lasted like 2 weeks.
Yeah, it was lasting for 2 weeks, and they just got rid of that buff and they just replaced it with some stupid identity
Yeah,
tooltips.
it was,
And yeah, nobody's playing the gravity right now. So
Hmm.
yeah, I think
Mm-hmm.
they did a really good patch on the destroyer that we can actually choose which one to play. Like if you want to play some good burst damage with bonk, you can choose to play gravity. If you want to do some constant damage, I mean, it's weird that we can say constant damage, but
Right.
Still, yeah, still more consistent. I mean, still more constant than the gravity one. So
Right.
it was a great patch. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So destroyers rejoice. Zerkers, also a very big change to Brazil's secret, aka Zerker technique. Crit damage got changed to 32% damage. Good change. Mayhem does not need to switch over, but technique's damage performance has risen according to ATK. So this is I remember Saint was really excited when he saw this change. What are your thoughts? What are your guys' thoughts? This is a pretty big change to the build of Berserker technique Zerkers. What do you guys think?
JiuDau, you want to go? Because I don't play Berserker, so I don't know much about.
Oh, okay. I mean, I don't really play him that much. I only do some Guardian Raids and Chaos Dungeons. But
Okay.
the thing is, yeah, I did play a lot. I did play a lot of Zerk before, and I didn't even play the Mayhem because the main problem for Mayhem was his very, very low defense, right? It's the lowest defense in the... Yeah, it's very squishy. It has the lowest defense on the whole class. So that was the main problem. And also, people who loves to play Zerk sometimes thinking of doing a burst damage on Zerk with Awakenings. There was a romance from season 1 that we did super, super good damage with the Awakening. So the previous patch that they buffed Mayhem, I think it was good. It was good, but they didn't even do anything about the Brazil secret, Zerk. I mean,
yeah, Brazil. Everyone calls it Brazil secret, to be honest. So it's.
I don't actually know the English name for the actual name.
Oh, it's called Berserker technique, I think.
Oh,
right, chat? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's called Berserker technique.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for the technique engravings, people wanted some patch because also Zerk doesn't have much choice to go for the engravings. So like they go for Grudge, Crystal, Raid Captain. Those three are the must-have engravings to use. And also they should be using Keen Blunt. We can't use Miss Increase because of course the motion is really slow. And the last is gonna be Adrenaline or the class engravings. And yeah, there's no more choice for the Zerk to choose engravings. But if you compare the engravings to Mayhem to the technique increases your crit damage at the moment right now. But since Zerk doesn't have any choice to use other engravings, they have to use the Keen Blunt. But with the class engravings, that gives you about, I think it's about 80%, right? That gives you about 80% of crit damage. With Keen Blunt, it's not gonna do even better than other engravings.
Right.
So I have two friends who plays Berserk techniques. One is, of course, you guys know who Saint is. And the other one is the one who has the Ezra +7 weapon.
Vinny.
No, he's running Mayhem.
Right now. That's you're right. He is
it's the other guy. Yeah.
By the way, is he planning on changing the Zerker technique? What does he think about the change with Zerker technique?
Oh, for that, it could be like out of topic, but I did the DPS challenge. I did DPS battle with him at Hano. He was running Ambush Master with Entropy set with his Zerk technique.
You can call it Brazil secret. Everyone calls it Brazil secret, anyways. Yeah.
And he even did beat up my domination set for Hano.
Wow.
With my Arcana.
He beat your domination set Arcana.
And Hano, yeah.
Really, going Zerker technique, Ambush Master, Entropy.
Yes, he wasn't using the domination set. He was running the original set, original build, but he just beat him up. So, of course, it's gonna be...
Wow.
Of course, the Zerk technique is gonna have more burst damage at Hano, but still, that's gonna that made a big deal about running some really good uh progress on the Zerk technique. So
Yeah. What engravings was he running other than Ambush Master?
uh he was, I think he was just testing, but he ran Ambush Master, Grudge,
Excuse me.
Cursed Doll, Great Captain, and the Brazil technique.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
He
Okay.
was running those two
Gotcha.
those engravings.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. That's some great insight. Actually, that's a lot of really good insight, boys.
Right.
Let's talk about SoulFist. Unless you guys have anything you want to add to Zerk. SoulFist. Yeah.
Benji can,
Benji, I
yeah.
see you. I see you. I see you over there, man. SoulFist
Mhm.
main.
Uh-huh.
SoulFist main. Let's go. What are your thoughts on the decrease in damage 2.8%? Do you agree with ATK in the sense that it's still very strong? Can't really notice a difference, or is that fake news?
Um, I mean, it's 2.8. You can still notice a difference, but it's not like a huge deal.
Mm.
But the thing is, like nerfing SoulFist at this point, I don't think that'll draw a lot of the new SoulFist. Like, I don't think it'll draw new SoulFist players.
Mm.
I don't. It's we're already at the bottom of the population,
Yeah.
Oh,
and
right.
I don't think that'll draw in any more new SoulFist players.
That's an
Uh,
interesting intake or intake. That's a
yeah,
that's interesting insight. Jesus, sorry. That's it.
and
That is because there really isn't. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'll let you continue. Can you just quickly tell us how
mm,
many people are really actually playing Soulfist in Korea? I mean, not the exact
like
number, but is it
like
like a bottom
one
five
point.
class, bottom three
It's
class?
bottom one. It's bottom. It's at the very bottom or second to the bottom.
Wow. Okay.
Um, the thing is, Smilegate's comment on SoulFist was that Energy Overflow SoulFist was performing very well in terms of DPS, and then that's why they nerfed the class. And then as a result, because it was a flat damage decrease, Robust SoulFist took a hit as well, not
Yeah.
just Energy Overflow, which is kind of weird. It's just kind of weird. Anyways, the thing about I don't know. Let me vent a little bit. The
Please
thing
do.
about
Please do.
the thing about SoulFist is like if you wanna get MVP with a SoulFist, you have to know when you have to know how to manage your identity because there's hype one, there's no hype one, hype two, and hype three, right? Hype two, you usually use hype two and three for DPS. And Hype 2 gives you 25% increase in damage, whereas Hype 3 gives you 60%. So if you can't utilize Hype 3, and Hype 3 lasts like 20 seconds, by the way. So if you can't utilize Hype 3 well, like let's for example, you go into your Hype 3 and then Vicus all of a sudden decides to fly away doing this little circle
Mm-hmm.
thing,
Mm-hmm.
then basically you're losing out all of your
All like
DPS.
everything in that
Like
segment. Yeah.
almost yeah, almost
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
So unless you really know how to utilize your identity, it's a very difficult class to play. You have to know the raids, like you have to know you have to
Mm.
look at the HP bars of the boss. You have to know the gear scores of other players and kind of like kind of try to make a guess on how fast the party's gonna push the DPS.
Mm.
So you know when to turn on your Hype 3, and there's all these
Mm.
conditions. You have to buff yourself before your main DPS skills. Uh, and then you have to land three of your main DPS skills in Hype 3. There's all this like conditions.
Mm-hmm.
If you do everything perfectly, then yeah, you're a cool fighter no matter what.
Sure.
But if you lose out or if you make a mistake, then it's pretty much It's pretty much a Dej class. So this is how it is. The skill ceiling and the floor, the difference between skill ceiling and the floor is very wide.
Right.
The range is really big. So
how do you think that
newbies,
factors into the
so so
balancing?
so newbies who doesn't know how to use or doesn't know about this hype management, they're not gonna have fun playing SoulFist.
Mm.
And that's probably going to result in constant lowest population in Lost Ark.
Interesting.
As a SoulFist player, I do feel that your class not getting loved is it's pretty how would you say 섭섭해 in English?
Subsequent. Not depressing, but not really depressing. Like
Not
Sag.
depressing, but
Sag.
yes, Sag.
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 Yeah,
Sag.
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 Yeah, Sag. That's kind of Sag.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Benji, you're talking about
Yeah.
the difficulty in the ceiling, the difficulty of playing SoulFist, and you acknowledge that the class does pump, but it only pumps when you're executing properly. And if you're not executing in the windows in which you should be executing in, that DPS can go literally the opposite direction, right? It could be like you just won't get the DPS. So how do you
Right.
think that factors into balance when it comes to these changes?
Here's the thing. A lot of the SoulFists are very OG players.
Mm.
Like there's barely any new SoulFist players.
Mm.
Like all the SoulFists, they like not all, but a lot of the SoulFist users started playing SoulFist very long time ago.
Mm.
That's why we remain at the bottom of the population, obviously.
Right.
And so a lot of these SoulFists are experienced and they know how to, most of them know how to manage the identity and the buffs
Sure.
and whatever. And I think that has something to do with Smilegate's internal data, whatever they use to do these class balancing patch. And the numbers are probably high because these SoulFists are experienced players.
Mm. Right. That's true. It's an OG class. So the people that are playing it at the high level, they definitely are executing and probably pumping out the DPS. Not to mention, the last time you guys got a new raid was back in 1982, right? Like it's been a while since you. Well, actually, I take that back. Well, you guys got KR got what's his name? You guys kind of recently, but for the most part, it's been April forever for the longest time, right? So people know mechs, people are pumping the DPS, and that could definitely skew the data. Not skew the data, but pump the data when it comes to SoulFist and their performance. But as far as what the change is, it's a boring one. It is a boring one, whether you agree with it or not. It's just a flat damage decrease across the board, 2.8%. I'd like to talk about Scrapper, unless you want to add anything to that, JiuDau, on SoulFist.
As I think you guys will know that I've been playing SoulFist for a long time. Not longer than Benji, but I did play for over than 2 years. I think Benji knows what I have done to the SoulFist players.
What did you do to the SoulFist players? What did you do? What did you do?
He got all the SoulFist nerfed.
No.
Probably.
Did you? How? What did you?
I mean, okay, it wasn't directly related to me, but I did uploaded a video that SoulFist using the what is Sansupisung in English? I
have no idea
it's
what that is.
Sansupisung is the one that engraving you use in Chaos Dungeon.
The one if you hit the full HP mobs, you get some more
Crazy
critical
damage,
damage. Yeah. I just forgot the name.
Preemptive strike.
Preemptive,
The Chaos
yeah,
Dungeon.
preemptive. Yeah.
So before the nerf of the preemptive, it was able to use with the Guardian raids and also with the Argos, and so like it didn't include the effect didn't include like it wasn't limited to the normal mobs. It was viable all places. So I did the I did the raids. I did the guardian raids using preemptive SoulFist, and I won comboed all the guardian raids up to Yoho. Yeah, and like 3 weeks later, I think, right? 2 weeks or 3 weeks later, they just directly nerfed the preemptive with the SoulFist. And
damn, JiuDau, you're always breaking the game, man. I always see you with the
yeah.
spreadsheets out and recording numbers and stuff. This is a man that this is JiuDau, by the way. JiuDau is the guy that sits in Trixian and he's just like calculating stuff. You know what I mean? This guy is that's him. He's a Chad. That's why I love getting him on, because this guy just, you know, he tests numbers. But yeah, unless there's anything else we want to talk about in regards to SoulFist, we should move on and talk about the scrapper. What do you guys think?
Yeah, and I totally agree with what Benji said about SoulFist. I agree 150% about that.
150%. Okay.
Yeah.
JiuDau, when you play SoulFist, that 2.8% damage decrease, that nerf, I don't know. Oh, actually, I don't know if you've actually tested it because you're a busy man, obviously. But have you tested it? And if you have, how big does that nerf feel to you? Does it feel negligible? Do you feel it quite a bit? I mean, at the end of the day, 2.8% is 2.8%, whether you think it's high or not, right? It's a flat number. But do you have a feeling on that in regards to your performance?
Okay, I'll just make it quick. There is no point of nerfing the SoulFist because
I agree 150%.
I mean, okay, yeah. As Benji said, there's not a new people who wants to play SoulFist anymore.
That's true.
But at the moment, many high gear players, most of the high gear players are actually expert at playing SoulFist. But most of them are playing the robust, but not the energy overflow one. So like, they do play. I think they do play overflow, but not. I mean, it's half and half. But for the robust and the energy overflow one, did they really need to nerf the SoulFist, not the
engraving itself, that specific build, or
not? Yeah, I mean, specific build or some nerfing, maybe nerfing some Dominion Fang set using full swiftness,
right?
Not the character itself, because that's gonna affect other. I mean, that's gonna affect people who wants to try the SoulFist. Oh, did it get nerfed right last week? I'm not gonna play this. It will turn into like that. They will turn mine to other classes. Right. So,
do you guys think SoulFist needs a rework to be more appealing in terms of gameplay, game style, for people to revisit? Is it just a boring class to play? Why is it that people just don't play it, other than the fact that it's obviously like a legacy class?
SoulFist is a difficult class to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems easy, but it might look easy. But like when you first start, you're gonna think, wow, Spirit Bomb, I'm gonna do some huge damage. It's the strongest skill in the game. And then you're gonna start missing it. You're gonna start not critting it, or you might die in the air. And then, oh shit, okay, so maybe this is kind of stressful, and then you might switch over to energy overflow, and then you're gonna be faced with you're gonna face this like identity management thing, which is not easy as well. So it's not. I don't think it's unless the person understands the raids already very well. I think it has a very high
skill required.
Yeah, skill requirements. It needs a lot of thinking too. Like, yeah, you have to think a lot.
So little, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Not only you have to look at the patterns, I mean, all classes have to look at patterns, but you also have to look at the HP bars because you want to make use of the full 20-second level hype buff, and if you miss like 10 seconds of it, then
That's
half of
massive.
your
Yeah.
it's a huge
That's
difference.
literally 50%.
Yeah.
That's literally 50%. Little side question here, but Benji, I know you play SoulFist as well as Destroyer. I'm trying to think, like, as we're talking about this, do you know any other SoulFist content creator that streams English speaking? I couldn't actually think of one because we were talking about popularity, right? And I was thinking, oh, maybe they don't have very many content creators playing the class. I don't know. Is there? Do you know of any other SoulFist that in the Western community that is?
Western community?
Yeah. English. Well, it doesn't have to be on the Western servers, but just an English-speaking Lost Ark streamer that mains SoulFist.
JiuDau.
JiuDau. Well, JiuDau like fucking mains every class though.
Yeah.
he mains every class. Oh man. Well, the chat's saying some names. As you can see.
Yeah, them mods. I've seen some clips.
Yeah. All right, let's move on and talk about Scrapper because this is a big one, right? Because like I've gone and I've asked you this as well, Benji, and I've asked multiple people, almost every single person that I talk to in regards to class balance, all the top players, quote unquote top players in Korea. When I ask them, hey, what are the strongest, weakest classes in your opinion right now? And the one class that's always either number 1 or 2, excuse me, is Shock Scrapper. And they just recently got nerfed with this PTR build, decreased shock damage by 3.7%. And ATK, his opinion is that Scrapper is still one of the best Earth Entropy classes in the game. Easy and huge damage. That certainly doesn't seem like, in his opinion, that it was much. What is your opinion? Maybe we could start with you, JiuDau. What do you think about this change with Shock Scrapper?
Okay, so I have the shirt, I have the bikini on my Scrapper, and that looks. Wait, it's not like this. Okay, I'm sorry. I do find Scrapper a really good class, even after the nerf. The reason is, I just went some raids with my friends who has 1615 Gunslinger with all level 10 gems.
16,
and I
okay.
1650 all
1615?
Yeah, 1615.
Oh,
okay,
okay,
1650.
Okay.
So, and I was running my Scrapper 1592 with 22 weapon. I mean, actually 21 weapon with all level 7 gems on Bridge as a hard 6. It was 4-man bus, of course. I got 31% damage, and I got the MVP. Of course, we did 2 retries that made Peacemaker didn't work that good, of course. Couldn't get MVP because of the retries. But also, I just felt weird. How could 1592 Scrapper with level 7 gems can beat, I mean, not beat up, but get 31% against 1615 Gunslinger with all level 10 gems?
Who was the... Okay, so hold on, time out real quick. The 1615 Gunslinger that was decked out. Because I see some people saying in chat, which is and this is a valid like response to it or reaction to it, is you are the better player. Maybe he's just not good at his class, and you're very good at your class. Let's be real here. The PvE in this game does require a lot of skill, but gear is gear. What's your response to that? Was that Gunslinger a good Gunslinger? He's skilled. He held his own.
I mean, Bridge as a hard 6 is an end content in Korea, right? So we were doing the 4-man bus, and we can assume that.
Right.
Yeah. So
if you're doing a 4-man bus, then all 4 of the people are obviously pretty good, right?
Yeah. So
I have one question about this. Was there a Gunlancer in the party?
No.
Wow.
What was the party actually? That's a great point, Benji.
Okay.
That's a great point. What was the synergies?
It was 2 Gunslinger, and Shock Scraper. That was me.
Oh, okay. So you were sucking all the crit.
No, it doesn't
You
stack
were
though. It
sucking
doesn't
all
stack.
the crit rate buff.
It doesn't really stack though, by the way. So yeah. So the Scrapper actually, well, I guess it could be sensitive answer, but what I guess is Scrapper actually performs not only the damage. I mean, performs all over. It performs 10% more than other classes right now.
Right now, 10%. Okay.
Yeah.
Guys, just so you know, because this is obviously can be, you know, like JiuDau just mentioned, a sensitive answer, right? But at the end of the day, guys, for those of you, especially in the West, listening to this, you guys should know by now, look, level 10 gems versus 7, fucking massive. Okay. And 16, 15, to, even though no one's there in NA yet, but you could tell the difference just in eye level based off of our region as well, right? The difference between 16, 15 and what did you say you were 1570?
1592.
1592. 1592. Okay. There's a little jump there. But like for me, man, the gems, that's big. Level 7 versus 10s. That's really big. and for you and for the person with the level 7 gem, for you on that Scrapper to do 30 plus %, that's, oh my gosh, man. Like Jesus.
And there's 3 DPS, so
and 3 exactly.
Yeah.
And 3
Yeah.
DPS, yeah. Yeah. How retries? How many runs? How you said there was 3 runs that you guys did?
Yeah, 3 runs.
3 runs. 3 runs. Okay. Man, that's really good insight, actually. That's really good insight. So Shock Scrapper performing at another level. So JiuDau, on that note, do you think 3.7 is not enough? What do you, I mean, clearly you think it's not enough, probably, right? Because you said you think it does 10% more than 10% more than everyone else.
Yeah.
What did you expect to see?
Actually, I do not really care about how much damage nerf it got, because of course they're not gonna be nerfing over 10%. It's gonna, like, every single Scrapper is gonna, like, send some trucks to Small Gate, right? So
Yeah.
of course it's not gonna be like that too much, but 3.7%. Right after I saw that number, I thought, oh, Scrapper survived. That was my thought about the number that I saw. So
Yeah.
I should be thinking it wasn't that. I mean, I should be thinking, oh, that they deserve that much nerf, right? Most people think, oh, that deserved that much nerf. But what I thought was, oh, they didn't even get any nerfs. I mean, it just remained the same.
Right. So just to confirm, with that run that you did do, you said you got Cruel Fighter, right? You got Cruel Fighter, and the other 2 DPS got what? Was it like Fighter or Upright? What was it?
All of them should be having the Cruel Fighter, because it was 8-man raid doing 4-man bus.
Right, right. But you saw your percentage.
Yeah, I was on MVP. Yeah.
You were in the MVP with the Cruel Fighter. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
I just wanted to establish that because we had some people in the chat asking about the numbers and the percentages. Okay, so Benji, what are your thoughts on this Shock Scrapper right here?
Shock Scrapper. I think Scrapper is I think Scrapper is supposed to be like an entry class, like for beginners. I think it's a very beginner friendly class. It's tanky and it's somewhat mobile. It's not that hard. Like it doesn't have like a super like complicated DPS cycle. So I think it's a very beginner friendly class, and I don't think it should be dishing out this much damage. It should be balanced. All right, so okay, there's another Broshaza incident, not incident, but we had a raid with Seals, and ATK, and me and everyone else.
Okay.
So Seals has a Wardister +7 Esther weapon, as you all know, and I was there. Everyone was there. Shock Scrapper got it was one run. It was one run. And Foss, there's another streamer named Foss. He got a Cruel Fighter with 29%
What did
over
Zeals get there?
over Zeals. And Zeals was using a Drophin as well. I think he also got a Cruel Fighter, but I don't think a Scrapper I don't think one DPS class should be getting 29% DPS over when there's 6 other DPS classes.
Right.
Yeah.
One of
Because
which has a +7.
either. It wasn't a bus run
Yeah.
either. It was a proper A-man raid.
Yeah.
And he
Wow.
got 29%. I mean, there was a Gunlancer in his party.
Uh-huh.
Shock Scrapper basically, it was a perfect setup for the Shock Scrapper. The Shock Scrapper had crit from Zeal. Wait, did Zeus even take his crit tripod? But there was a Gunlancer which favoritizes. Wait, no, Zeus plays Master of Ambush too, so they both should be having about same advantages with the Gunlancer's
Oh yeah,
back
yeah, yeah.
attack
That's a
synergy.
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait.
And
Zeals plays Entropy on his War Dancer, yeah?
I think for that fight he was using 4 Entropy and 2 Dominion.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And here's the huge thing. Seals was using a Drophin and Foz was using Time Stop instead of a Drophin.
And an Esther. +7.
Right.
Don't forget about the fucking whale
Yeah,
weapon. Don't forget about that fucking thing.
And Foz had like 1 level 10 DPS gem, I think. And you know ZOC has all level 10
Yeah,
gems.
he's decked out.
Even
What's his eye level?
Okay. Foz
Foz.
is like 1583, 1585 around there.
And Zeals is what 1605 or something, 1610?
1608, 1607
Okay.
around there. And here's the thing. Okay, experience. Foss has done more of this raids because he does this raid on all of his scrappers. He has like 6 different scrappers, I think. All his ultra scrappers. So he might have more experience with the raid, but still, I don't think he should be able to out DPS by that much.
Right.
And
so, you know,
I don't know.
What?
I don't know about this 3.7%. I think we'll have to see, but I don't know. We'll have to see if it hits the live servers.
Okay, so we will be talking about your thoughts on what you guys think will happen in regards to these current changes, but let's move on for now. Okay, let's move on for now, and let's talk about. Excuse me, chat. For those of you watching on YouTube, I apologize for coughing so much right now. I've got a little thing going on. So let's talk about the Glaivier, the Lance Master. Increased damage 6.6 in its red stance.
Oh, wait, why are we skipping Striker?
No
And
changes.
Warnister.
We will be talking about don't worry, we'll talk about that.
Did
Don't
you
worry.
delete? Did you
No,
delete
this is
anything?
ATK's spreadsheet. There's no changes.
Why is nothing there?
There's no changes there. So War Dancer Striker.
Okay, I thought we're jumping Striker. Okay.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about Striker.
Okay.
We're going to talk about Striker. I know you want to talk about, Striker and how they need to get buffed a little bit, but we're gonna go ahead and just go over just the notes for now, and we've got a whole section for the additional thoughts. Well, in fact, I will go as far as to say that there will be a timestamp in the video in a chapter section for Striker. It will literally say Striker discussion. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, so let's go to the Lance Master Glaivier. Increased damage 6.5%, 6.6 on the red stance. 5/2 build is dead. 4/3 or 3/4 needs research. Okay, so what are your thoughts on 6/6 being buffed in the red? This is clearly, obviously, a buff to the Pinnacle set. It's called Pinnacle in the NA region. does not affect the control set whatsoever, since control only uses blue, control being the other engraving in NA. What are your thoughts? Benji, let's start with you. What are your thoughts with the Glaivier?
Well, it's just a straight up buff on the red stance. I think they might change some. I think there might be changes to some engravings on
You think that
and skill tripods.
You think that's
The
coming
build
up?
might change.
Okay.
The build might change. Probably more research is needed, like ATK mentioned in the spreadsheet. It's just I think here's the thing. I have like 3 different builds on Glaivier.
3 different builds, all pinnacle or
All pinnacle,
all
no
pinnacle?
control.
Okay.
Yeah, no control. All pinnacle. I have like 3 different builds with all out attack, Ray Captain, entropy, master of ambush. The thing is, no matter what no matter what other engravings you use on pinnacle, the results don't differ that much. Like it doesn't matter what build, it doesn't matter what tripods, it doesn't matter what engravings. The results come out very similar. So yeah, but I mean it's a straight up buff on the red skills, and I think I'm guessing it was a very needed one for Glaiviers because their damage floor is not that low. Their damage floor is like probably on the mid side,
Right.
but their ceiling is not that high either.
Right.
Unless you go like some crazy ass, like some super like 9/7 rock with like all level 10 gems build. So
Right.
I think it was a much needed buff for Glaiviers, yes.
So in NA, because obviously the vast majority of players are still nowhere near the level in which Korean players are at. Not even close to 1500. We're talking about the vast majority. Of course, there are plenty of players at 1500 or close to, but a lot of players that are under, still in the 1300s, 1400s. Glaivier at that level in NA has been known to perform pretty well. But the general consensus is that, and we're talking about Pinnacle here, general consensus is that Pinnacle Glaivier starts really falling off. And in the end game, it turns out, current Korean end game, they turn out to be not so hot with the DPS because of the most commonly used word for that is scaling. They don't scale well. Can you tell us why they don't quote unquote scale well? Why is it that they aren't very good right now in the current KR endgame, and why the 6.6% really helps? I mean, obviously it's a damage increase. It really helps, but can you tell us a little bit about that?
JiuDau?
Yeah, I was thinking about the crits. Okay, there's two builds. You guys know there's a crit spec, and there's a spec swiftness build for the pinnacle. And there's also like different builds for spec and swiftness, which is 5-2 and 4-3. Is it right, Benji? Yeah. And because I only know about 4-3 and 5-2 because I run the spec and swiftness. But yeah, the change for the 6.6% buff did a lot of thing for Glaivier, because since I'm using 4 blue skills and 3 red skills, we get about like, I still get about like 3% buff for my whole damage, right? And also for 5-2 build, I mean, 5-2 build, it's not going to affect 5-2 build anymore. I mean, that much more than other builds, but for 5-2 build, I think it's gonna still do like 2% more damage for the whole damage. So I heard my friends who's playing 5-2 are moving back to 4-3. I mean, since we have the tripod system that we can actually move the tripods right away.
Tripods around now, yeah.
Yeah. And also for the spec and crit one, they got the most buff for the patch. They got this one's because they have like 60 or 70% of their damage on the pinnacle. I mean, on the red skills. So the 6.6% actually did about like 5% for those guys.
Mm-hmm.
And why I think this patch is reasonable is because the control Glaivier had a really good ceilings using entropy, and I think Benji knows about this.
Right.
But besides, even though you're using level 10 gems for the pinnacle, it didn't perform that much good. So they actually really needed a buff about getting some more damage at the end game. So I think is after getting 6.6%, I think they're almost same with the control ones. So yeah, that was the perfect buff and nerfs. I mean, that was the perfect balance patch for this patch.
Right.
That's what I think. Yeah.
Gotcha. So that's assuming that you are running a 4-3 though. Assuming
Yeah.
you go to 4-3, you think 6.6 is a great number, and with it, you feel like Pinnacles is on par with Control in terms of total damage.
Yes.
Gotcha. Would you agree with that, Benji?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree with a lot of things he said. Also, about your question about how it was not scaling well
Yes.
at the end game.
Yeah.
The thing about Pinnacle engraving for the 5th engraving, it's either crystal or increased mass. Basically, crystal and increased mass, they're attack power engravings, which are additives.
Oh,
They're
right.
not multiplicative.
Mm-hmm. Additive,
Right.
And
not multiplicative. Yeah.
yeah. So the buff from Bard, all these attack power buffs added is not scaled as well as other damage engravings. So like for example, in my head right now, I'm thinking, okay, so the rest dance is buffed. I want to make more use of the rand stance. So instead of increased mass, maybe I can go raid captain, because switching over to rest stance gives you movement speed, and that gives you 140% movement speed, which is the max, which is the
Max,
cap.
right?
And raid captain can make a lot of use of that. So like in my head, I'm thinking, okay, so people can probably use either 4-3 red skill, or maybe even 3 blue and 4 red, maybe even 4 red.
Right. Like
With the
before.
raid captain. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. So we're hearing about how those engravings work. They don't work multiplicative and they're additive. Benji, as someone that has played the Lance Master Pinnacle and has clearly kind of theory crafted some different builds, at what point would you say the NA community should expect to quote unquote fall off due to that pre 6.6 buff? Pre-buff. Like at what point do they start falling off? Eye level and everything.
Ah.
I mean, it's probably not like a specific point, right? Like, hey, at this eye level, they fall off. It's probably gradual, but it definitely is gradual. But like, at what range would you start feeling that?
I don't know. I think this is my personal opinion,
Mm-hmm.
but Pinnacle starts to I think Pinnacle performs well until Cuckoo Satan.
Okay.
Because of their range. Because but probably when people get more experience with Cuckoo Satan and everything else, like you're gonna see a lot of entropy classes just performing a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same case for Vicus and Bolton
Sure.
and whatever.
Yeah.
People as the entropy classes learn when to back attack, or when to, or these mechanics, like which way is the boss gonna face after this or whatever. After experience, entropy classes will just start performing better than other classes that don't rely on entropy or back attacks or master of ambush.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Good chat on the Glaivier here. Let's move on to the hunters, shall we, guys? Let's talk about Gunslinger. Peacekeeper, shotgun damage has increased 5%. Peacekeeper engraving changed from 25% crit to 10. Let me pull this up. Sorry, guys. Shotgun damage increased 5%. Peacekeeper engraving changed from 25% crit to 10% crit and 15% damage at level 3. Some tripods changed, 10% crit. The notes here say Peacekeeper level 1 is still fine, but level 3 has been buffed in more balance towards playstyle damage, so the engraving is a good investment for reaching high ceiling. A 3-3-3-3-3 2 5-3s 1-2 build, Peacekeeper current KR endgame, Peacekeeper 3 and Adrenaline 2 is the strongest build now. Thoughts on the Gunslinger changes, guys?
I do have some thoughts, but I don't play the class.
Okay.
I think JiuDau might play the class, so I'll be getting an opinion from JiuDau first is probably better.
Okay. What are your thoughts, JiuDau?
Okay. So I do play Gunslinger, which is my secondary favorite class after Kana. And
because she's hot.
yeah. Particularly my Gunslinger. She is with her bikinis with panties, and I love to play my Gunslinger all the time. When I log in, I feel happy looking all the skins on my Gunslinger. Okay, and and so for the Gunslinger, the main problem was to get some crit chance for the rifle skill. They need to get over crit for the shotguns. That was the main problem for that. So, like, before the patch, when the Gunslingers made their crit to, I think it's 1400, they get over crit for the shotguns, but they still lack of some crit chance for the rifle. But after the patch, they decreased 10% buff. I mean, that's going to be exactly like 100 or 200 stats, right? 10% is going to be like 200 stats. So they got rid of the 10% crit for the shotgun and they put the damage instead. And that was actually a good patch. But also at the same time, is that going to be enough for the patch? That was what I was thinking is...
Do you think it is?
I think it was not really bad, but...
Do you think they need a little bit more there, or...
It's still... Yeah, I just felt it still performs a little bit lower than other classes.
Still a little bit under, okay.
Yeah, but we all know that Gunslinger is a really hard class to play since you know how to use the stance, right? Yeah, it's a hit master class. It has really good mobility. It's really good. I mean, the attack speed is fast. So I think the patch might be decent, but we need to get the new MVP system first. We need to get the new MVP system that we get the MVPs only from the ones that we cleared. And also, we should be checking Gunslinger comparing to other classes after the patch. But the thing is, I think this patch was not really bad because since they buffed the shotgun stance again, people moved on to catastrophe because they don't really get much benefits from the shotguns, but they changed. I mean, as they did the balance right now, so they can actually choose to use shotgun stance more or some more rifles. People use 2 shotguns and 4 rifles at the moment, but they might be using 3 again, like before, maybe. And yeah, they just made some more choice for the Peacemaker gunslingers. So it wasn't it wasn't a great patch. It wasn't a happy patch for Gunslinger mains, but I think it's still a reasonable patch to lower the crit chance for the shotguns and give some damage increase instead.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think it's okay. I think the patch for Gunslinger was okay.
Not bad.
That's what I think. Yeah,
Okay.
not bad.
Is that what you're kind of thinking too, Benji?
Yeah, I kind of realized I didn't know exactly what happened to Peacemaker, but I kind of like understood 100% after
Right.
JiuDau explained
Right.
that over critting on shotgun is actually a big loss on DPS
Mm,
because you can use that stat somewhere else to get more DPS.
right.
So I will probably have to wait. I mean, all this PTR, like we're gonna have to wait until it makes it to the live servers, and then
And then
we'll have
see
to
how
see
it
the
performs.
right. We'll
Right.
have to compare and then do some
Right.
race maybe for like a month or so, and then see how it all plays out. Uh,
Gotcha.
but
On
yeah,
paper, though, this seems like a great change. Is it enough? We don't know yet. That remains to be seen. It certainly doesn't seem to be too much, according to the vibes that I'm getting from JiuDau. But obviously, that over crit and getting that 25% crit, slashing that to 10% crit, removing 15% of that, but instead getting that 15% into damage seems to be where it would be more beneficial because obviously the over crit, right? So it seems like the direction is good, but we'll just have to see whether it's enough or not. All right, so should we talk about the other class that has been changed significantly? And that is the Artillerist. A lot has changed. Meters are separated now, guys. Firepower, lost crit rate, both engravings got a change. Barrage meter, gain tripods. Overall damage increased in normal skills. ATK says it would, in his thoughts, he says it would need new research, but it won't force people to have one build. It definitely has big potential, and their playstyle has much better freedom. Definitely a... Does that say butt? Buff. Excuse me. Buff. I'm thinking about bikinis and shit, man. It's like, Jesus. What do you guys think? Who'd like to start off here? First of all, any of you guys Artillerist mains? I don't know if I'm sure. Well, JiuDau, you've played every class, but Benji, have you spent much time playing Artillerist or
zero?
Okay, yeah. Honestly, same. I actually have an Artillerist alt, but I'm really not a big fan of it, so I stopped playing it. JiuDau, can you lead the way here and just tell us what you think about this? Because this is actually something I get asked quite a bit in my chat. Never really have an answer for it because I don't play Artillerist. But can you tell us what you think in regards to Blaster, aka Artillerist, with this big change?
Okay. Since I haven't tried the new Blaster on PTR, but I do saw them playing. I do saw the difference, what it changed, but it goes back to 2020. 2020 October.
Mm-hmm.
I made the Blaster then. I was playing the Swiftness crit with the Firepower. And, okay, the main problem was the Blaster had a, it has an identity gauge, right? It has an identity gauge, which is related to the damage of the Blaster. I mean, it's Blaster itself. And yeah, they changed the... I know that they changed the skills, some skills for the... What do you guys... The turret mode?
The turret, yeah. We could just call it the turret in the stance. Yeah, barrage mode is what it's called. But yeah. The
yeah, barrage mode. So
I think it's called barrage mode, right, chat? Yeah.
Yeah, before the PTR on this patch, they we didn't actually know the purpose of the blaster's engravings. That was the exact thing that I wanna see. So
Right.
there wasn't too much difference between two engravings. So barrage using actually there wasn't a barrage. It's something like the sharpshooter at the moment. The blasters must be using both engravings to get the performance. So they do turn to barrage mode because they're running the spec, right? They're running the spec. They do turn to barrage mode, and they should be having the barrage engravings. At the same time, they should be having the firepower because the firepower, I mean, the normal skills do a decent damage.
Right.
But for this patch, they changed that barrage mode doesn't need the firepower, and the firepower doesn't need barrage. So they just separated the class engravings for this patch. So, as I said, the firepower blaster, firepower artillerist went back 2 years ago. So they are gonna be playing crit and swiftness build again. As they play, it's gonna be a really comfortable to use. I mean, comfortable to play because we are getting swiftness and crit, so we don't have to be in barrage mode. We don't need to be turtle for all the raids. We were very slow with the spec stats. So they separated the two engravings, so we can play firepower if you want some fast the missile bombs play. You can play the firepower, and also if you want to be in the turret mode, if you enjoy playing in turret mode, you can play the barrage. So you don't have to use barrage to get more DPS for firepower. Right. You don't need to use firepower engravings to get more DPS for barrage.
Right.
So yeah, they just solved the original problem that the artillerists had. So they're all happy. Nearby me, they were all happy except for the guys who just got the engravings before the patch, a week before the patch.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you about that, right? So one of the things that a lot of NA players are upset about is like, oh my, like I've got to rebuild everything now. And what is even the logic behind that for those in Korea that are trying to get ready for a con that's right around the corner, and all of a sudden, this comes out? First of all, are these expected to even go through before a con? What's the deal with that? And how do the Korean players, artillerists, feel about these changes? Like what's the vibe there?
Oh, you can go first.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, I do think the balance changes are supposed to be there or supposed to be implemented before Archon release.
Archon is the next major Legion raid, by the way, guys, for those of you who don't know.
As is, or with a different, I mean, this is still like testing, right? This is just testing.
It's not live.
It could be like this, or it might be changed when it's actually applied. The way, some people might not agree with me on this.
Okay.
But if it's a good change, for the class, then I think even if you have to spend a little bit more to change your build or something, it's not that bad.
Really?
Yeah, if it's for the better of the class. I mean, yeah, sure. I did have a person in my chat that was saying I spent 230K in the Western server trying to build this Salvation spec artillerist, and now they're not gonna let that happen. And then he was like, does this usually happen in Korea? He was really upset because he spent a lot of gold. Obviously, obviously that is a huge loss on resources, and I do feel bad. But these things are going to happen. It's happened to other classes before. it's happened multiple times to War Dancers. That's why they're called Beaver Masters. They have to keep rebuilding their dams
Really?
or their
I didn't
houses.
know that.
Yeah, they're beavers. They just study, research, and then they rebuild everything. So these are going to happen. That's why I think it's not good to meta chase.
Mm.
Our Spec Salvation Artillerist build was a broken build. Somebody probably saw something on YouTube doing some insane damage on Clown and then decided to go for it. Yeah, I think that's the only advice I can give. Don't
Right.
meta chase. And if the change is better for the class, then just if it's better for the class,
In the
then I
long run,
think you
it's
just have
better.
to suck it up. Yeah.
Right. Are there blasters or artillerists in Korea that are upset about
Of
this?
course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Would
Of course
you
there
say
are.
more are, because especially because of the con timing? And I think the uncertainty there is even worse. It's like, at least if they knew now that, hey, this is definitely going to be before a con and implemented, at least they have a few weeks to prepare, right? But like now, if you're in Korea, it's like you don't even know. You don't even. It's like, if it's gonna change or not? Like, do I make this? Do I change my shit now or do I not? Do I wait? Like, it's like, I feel like it would be really stressful if I was a artillerist main in Korea right now.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean the new spec crit, no, not spec crit, the new crit swiftness or swiftness crit build. I saw some videos on Inven. I saw them doing DPS test or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They were pretty happy with the new build. So I mean, if it's at least if it didn't take a nerf, at least it's not a nerf.
Yeah.
It's you might have to rebuild a little bit, but it's
Sure.
yeah.
Big class coming out in NA, boys. The next class to be released is the Scouter, aka Machinist in the West. That's the next class that's on the list. As you can see, they got a 4% damage increase across the board, guys. So AT and Transformation both buffed, is AKTK's thoughts. That's not really a thought, that's a fact. All the damage, all the skills, again, another boring change, but a good one nonetheless. If you're a Scouter fan, they were known to not be the biggest pumpers in endgame Korea. What are your thoughts on the 4% damage increase? JiuDau, can you tell us your thoughts?
How can I say about this? Can you give me the questions one more time? I was
That's
like,
okay. Yeah.
translating in my head. I'm really sorry.
No.
Yeah.
I'll repeat it 8 times for you if you want. The fact that, look, because like I'm usually like in your position, but for in Korea, and I'm doing the same shit. I'm just like, wait, what did they say? You know what I mean? So I understand. So Scouter got a 4% damage buff across the board. Very simply put, can you tell us what you think about that change?
Oh, I mean, just simply about the Scouter spell.
Yeah.
Okay. We all know about the Legacy one, and the AT Scouter performed not better than other classes. So like, Legacy Scouter was a good good class, was a good character for some cheapo alts for many Koreans. Yeah, and for many Koreans.
Right.
So like I just saw someone playing 15 Scouters over 1500 using only 2 gems. He had
2 gems for literally like 2 gems across 15 characters. Like, so not even not even 30 total gems, but like literally 2 total gems and just transferring them.
Yes, and also the legendary skins. So we knew that it was for the Legacy one that they got buffed. But also at the same time, the main problem was the AT Scouter didn't have a good damage compared to all other classes. It really needed some buff. Then the problem was Legacy Scouter was performing good because it is very, very stable class that you get so many shield in PvE when you transform. But they got 4% more damage. So it's not the only cheapo anymore. It gets actually a good progress. And also it's cheap. So I heard that in NA, people are it's getting released. The Scouter is getting released next month.
Yes. Yeah.
And yeah, I think they buffed the Scouter because they also wanted Scouter to be a starting game class, maybe.
Okay. So
See what Benji said about this, about the Scrapper,
Okay, gotcha. So you like that 4% damage increase across the board? Is that direction with Scouter correct for you in your opinion? Okay. What about you, Benji? What are your thoughts on the 4% damage change?
4% damage change
on the Scouter.
I know the ceiling was kind of low on Scouter, but I thought it was reasonable because Scouter, you don't really need to invest a lot into the class.
Right.
Like JiuDau was explaining, you just need 2 gems. You don't even need tripods. I don't know, but we'll see because all of this like number crunching, like number changes.
Right.
We're gonna have to see in the raids, future raids.
Sure.
I'm gonna have to see Scouter and how it performs compared to mine and stuff like that.
Right.
So
as far as the class mechanically though, are you okay with just, hey, look, we're just going to increase its damage and see how it fares? Are you okay with that? Or is there anything mechanically with maybe like transformation class or AT build, AT engraving, like that you would be like, okay, I wish they would have maybe changed this or something like that? Or is all that just good? Let's just see how the numbers play out.
I hope they add tripods to the transformation skills.
So that goes for Shadowhunter as well.
Yeah.
Is that because it's just not fair?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So it's just a little salt there.
I'm bitter.
Okay, a little salt there, guys. That's okay.
It was okay. It was a little too plain until now. We're talking good. And I thought we needed some salt.
A little salt.
A
to
little
that.
savory.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. Spice things up a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on, guys. The next change comes from Summoner, a class we do not have in the West yet. Overall buffed, added options for new builds. Excuse me. Class got a little more simplified. Let me pull this up. Class got a little bit more simplified and have specific build choices instead of you're forced for one. So there sounds like there's a little bit more build diversity there. So as Dev said, they wanted to simplify the class build for new users. Okay. What are your thoughts on Summoner, guys? Any Summoner mains?
Yeah, I don't play Summoner.
I don't play Summoner that much.
Okay.
So
but I've seen some videos of Summoner doing like crazy DPS in the Trixion.
Yeah, I heard about that. I heard they were doing some insane numbers, and like there's like some different builds and stuff that are out there. Any intel on that, boys?
I'm just happy that they're working on Summoner.
Yeah.
Because the class was, with the Hyper Express, Summoners lost players. People were quitting Summoners with the Hyper Express because they needed new slots.
Right. Why do you think that is? Do you think it's because it's expensive? Do you think it's because it's difficult to play at higher level raids?
It's expensive. It's very expensive. You need like 7 or 8 DPS gems for Summoners. You need double class engraving. It is by far maybe not by far, but it is like one of the most expensive class to set up for some reason. Like one accessory is like, I think I've heard 1 million gold for one accessory or something like that.
Yeah, some of those prices are really high on Summoner.
And in comparison to how much you have to invest into the class, I think the DPS was a little bit too low. It is an easy class. It is supposed to be an easy class to play compared to like Deadeyes or some other classes. But
Right.
I think if that video is true, and if that's how it's gonna perform, I don't think it'll make it to the live servers as is. But I'm
Okay.
just happy that they're trying to do something with Summoner in the first place at all. Like they have an idea or they have intention to rework the class. I think that's good.
Gotcha. Did you see any of those videos and any of the DPS testing JiuDau on Summoner? Have you been able to see any after the patch? PTR
I
patch?
saw I saw Saints Saints has been experienced on Summoner and PTR.
Yeah.
I saw some people doing the what was it? Animal Summoner is a Kyogam Summoner. What is there any English name for that?
No, we don't
I
have the
don't.
class yet, so we don't have any official names.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So for the engravings, class engraving that people use with people, I mean that it gives more damage for the animals. I mean
The pets, yeah.
the summon pets. For that engraving, I saw some person in Inven doing 24 million DPS.
From the pets.
Yeah, from the pets.
Ooh, that passive
And
damage.
yeah, and I heard my friends are saying that who play Summoner, they were saying that, oh, now we can separate the we don't need to use two class engravings from now on. But the thing is, it's also same. It's all same for the Artillerist and the Summoner. They do actually have to build their accessories all over again.
Right. Oh man. So same boat with summoners, huh?
Yeah.
I wonder if there was any intel that was shared to Amazon Game Studios which influenced them to continue to release Summoner later, because like Summoner, like imagine if we got Summoner in the West right now, guys, especially as a 2 engraving class. Oh my god, that class is going to be expensive. It's hands down going to be the most expensive class to build up in the West. I mean, double, you know what I mean? And then imagine like NA players building up a Summoner right now. Let's say it came out instead of Arcana, and then this shit happens, and then they've got to change it again. Holy crap. Hindsight 2020, but hindsight, it's actually really nice that Summoner actually did not come out yet. For those of you looking forward to playing it in the West, it's really good. It's a really good thing it didn't come out yet, because apparently people in Korea are changing their builds and redoing their accessories on a double class engraving class.
Right. I totally agree with that.
Jesus. All right. So nothing touched with the Sork. Let's go to Arcanist, Arcana. This is all you, Mr. JiuDau, and this is actually the final change that we got. Every other class was not touched yet. And yes, we will be talking about other classes, because it actually blows my mind that Striker did not get buffed. Arcanist got a 5% damage increase. Where are we here? It got a 5% damage increase for stack ruin. I think that's ruin skills. 5% damage increase for stack ruin skill. Yeah, overall buff. Excuse me, on identity cards. New skills, new tripods that change yellow to blue, vice versa. ATK thinks, excuse me, I apologize. One of the biggest wins, people will need to research, but both builds are super viable due to the new identity cards. Usual Empress stack build is buffed and have more options to change playstyles, more stacking resets, etc. Now, really quick, I would like to hear your general thoughts on the changes. And then, JiuDau, if you could tell me, does this affect your personal custom build, which has been getting a lot of traction, by the way, in the West?
Right,
a lot of people talking about that build. Let's talk about the general changes and the general buffs first. What do you, or the changes? We'll say changes. Okay. Tell us, and we'll lead with you since you're our Arcana guy.
If I have to mention about Arcana right now, I think it's gonna be taking over 10 hours. So I'll just make it
Okay,
real
yeah.
short. Okay.
Okay.
I'll just make it real short. Okay. So I love the patch. I love the rework. I think it's kind of rework, right?
Yeah.
It's like
In a way, yeah. There's a lot of changes in there, new skills, and yeah, it would be a rework. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. So they finally reworked Arcana to yeah. Okay. I satisfy a lot for this patch, and the first thing is I changed my build to Empress
Oh, you went
after this
Empress.
patch.
Wow.
Yes. The purpose why I was playing my own build was because of the swiftness. Because I can play the class real fast, comparing to the full spec slow Empress Arcana. So, but after the change, I mean, they didn't change about some speed, but after the change, we can actually use some new. I mean, we had the skill, but they gave us some really good tripods for the 4-of-a-kind card. We do have the card right now, we do, but we are gonna be getting some crit chance tripod and some damage increase tripod for the skill. And it's gonna be replaced, or it can be used both serendipity and 4-of-a-kind skill. I mean, yeah, it's a rune skill. It's a red skill that
Red
you
skill, rune skills.
yeah, it's a DPS skill. It's the main DPS skill. So yeah, so I really love the way that we can use the 4-of-a-kind on the actual raid, and it was really fun. I did try at the actual raid. It was really fun on the PTR, and what I thought was, oh, this might be really fun if we can use this in the actual raid. If we get this on a real server, and yeah, it was great. It was great for the Empress Arcana. Great patch for Empress Arcana, and also a huge buff for Emperor Arcana players. Yeah, I realized that my build doesn't need to be changed after the patch. Still,
Right. Okay.
it's viable. I get 500 questions about that. About if they can still use my build, and I say yes, because if you want to use Checkmate, I mean, there's a blue skill called Checkmate that doesn't get affected by the damage increase for the Emperor engravings. But yeah, so we just got more choice about, and we can just
More
run different
options.
builds for more options for the Emperor build. So
Right.
if people wants to use all yellow skills, they can go for Emperor 3. If people wants to use my secret build, they can run Emperor 1 with some other engravings. So yeah, my build is still viable. We can use my build. If I get to play Emperor, I'm going to be sticking with my build still.
Okay.
And the patch they did for Arcana still needs some research over 2 weeks. So
Gotcha. So
yeah.
So a lot of people are gonna just break this down, and they're just gonna be like, "Yo, JiuDau, you switch to Empress. You say your secret build is still viable, untouched, still good. Why did you switch? Other than the fact that you enjoy the playstyle of this new Empress build, is that the only reason? And at the end of the day, the most important question that everyone's gonna ask is which one does more damage? Which one actually performs better at a high ceiling?
That is going to be everything about Arcana, right? Everyone will,
so you swapped your build from Emperor to Empress after the changes. Compare those two builds, which one does more damage? Which has the higher damage potential there?
Okay. Empress Arcana got easier to play. It got more easier to play after the patch. Emperor Arcana got more damage.
Okay.
but got harder to play.
Interesting.
So you need a lot of brain workings to
Okay.
do before you play Emperor. And the damage is almost the same. I mean,
pretty similar.
Pretty similar, yeah.
Okay. If you had to give the edge, would you give it to Emperor as far as raw damage? Just damage. As far as damage goes, would you say Emperor maybe squeaks out a little bit if there had to be a winner in damage, or too close to call?
Too close to call, because
Too close to call, okay.
they did buff the main problem that there's a skill called Evoke, and I think Benji knows about what Evoke is, right?
Yeah.
There's a skill called Evoke that you floor the skill, and it blows up after 4 or 5 seconds. So
it should be a super strong skill.
Yeah, it is a super strong skill right now, but if it gets hit, if it hits the boss, it's gonna be the strongest skill. But the main problem was it's gonna blow up. It's gonna hit the boss after 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's gonna never happen. I mean, so they decreased the remaining time on the floor, and they made it quicker to pop, to be to put the damage to 3 seconds. I think it's 2 seconds or 3 seconds.
Without changing the damage value? Same damage. Or did they nerf
same
the
damage?
Oh, same damage. Wow.
Same damage.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So even though boss does some bad patterns, Emperor can actually perform as good as the Empress at the actual raid. And you asked me why I changed my build to Empress.
Yes.
Is only because it was more fun to play.
Strictly fun factor.
Yeah, fun factor, playing, trying out a new skill. I mean, it's not a new skill, but it's a new skill that we can use for Empress. So yeah, it was really fun playing with the Empress. So I just decided to keep my build. I mean, I just decided to move on my build to Empress. It doesn't mean that Emperor is not really good. I'm just a guy who plays.
What you enjoy.
Who chases for fun. Yeah, who chases for fun.
Absolutely. It's fresh. Yeah. So it sounds like Arcana. I'm just going to call it Arcana. It sounds like Arcana has really gone in the right direction from the opinion of an Arcana main, ranked #1, by the way. Shout outs to you, JiuDau. Look, anytime you get more build diversity and a class becomes more fun to play, and you're not locked into one specific build or two, and you just have more diversity there, that's always a good sign. So Arcanist being the latest class to release in the West, hopefully a lot of you guys still have an opportunity to have a little bit of flexibility in your builds if you haven't gone in too far. Benji, anything you want to add to that, or did we really cover Arcanist? What do you think, bro?
I think we covered about everything for Arcanist, yeah.
Perfect. So, guys, I actually deliberately skipped Sharpshooter because who gives a fuck about that class? Let's move on. I'm just kidding. I completely forgot about that. Sorry, I saw it in chat. Someone was calling it earlier saying I skipped Sharpshooter. So let's talk about the Sharpshooter last. Okay, let's talk about it as our final class. As you see right here, we got a 4.5. Whoa, sorry about that. Let's pull this up. We got a 4.8% damage increase. ATK certainly thinks that the developers don't give about Sharpshooter. They just increase the overall damage. But to be fair, I mean, this 4.8% damage increase is consistent with a couple of the other classes. Boring change, but it changed nonetheless. What are your thoughts? Benji, maybe you can lead the way with the Sharpshooter discussion. What do you think?
Damn, how much longer do they have to buff Sharpshooters for?
It seems like they're getting buffed literally. I know, right? Every patch.
Every time there's a balance patch, it's a buff. 20% skill damage buff. Another buff, this buff, that buff, now 5% buff. Like,
so I feel like this is kind of like the opposite of SoulFist, because like Sharpshooter is also like a bottom 3 class, isn't it, in KR when it comes to like popularity in class? Only SoulFist keeps getting nerfed while Sharpshooter keeps getting buffed. What do you think, man? What's the deal with Sharpshooter? Do you even care? Does
I
anyone
mean,
care?
yeah,
I'm
of
just
course
kidding.
I
I'm
care,
just
man.
kidding. I'm just kidding. It's a meme. It's a meme.
We have a
Yeah,
get cuck in our static. We need a
yeah,
buff.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it's a flat
yeah.
buff, you know. It's not it's not some weird. It's not like a rebuild changes,
Right.
or it's not some crazy changes. It's a flat damage buff. I mean, who's not happy with a flat damage buff?
Mm, yeah.
Um,
Pretty simple, to be
yeah,
honest,
pretty
guys.
simple.
Yeah.
Just they thought Sharpshooter was underperforming. All right, we'll just buff all of his skills to 4.8%.
Would you say the
Uh,
Koreans typically thought that Sharpshooter was an underperforming class as well? So that was pretty consistent. Was that the general consensus in the Korean Lost Ark community, or was it, or did no one actually care about Sharpshooter in the Korean Lost Ark?
I did not look into the Sharpshooter in
Okay.
no.
Okay.
And
Okay.
also, if I have to say,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah,
oh,
oh yeah.
I will go for the second one. No one actually cares about Sharpshooter.
It's no, but here's the thing, right? Here's the thing.
No,
People who
there's
can
nothing.
make sharpshooters work, they can really make it work.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, they can.
Yeah, people who can make it work still.
I've got a Giga
And
Chad Sharpshooter in my static, bro. He's always popping off.
yeah,
Yeah, man.
and those people, it's a huge buff for them. And for the people who just started, it's not a bad change. So yeah.
JiuDau, what are your thoughts on Sharpshooter? Do you just not care?
Oh, it's a good buff. Oh, 4.8%. Wow. Sharpshooter is really getting better right now. I'm so happy. I think it's a good buff. Very
Okay.
good. Yeah, I'm sorry, but I just really don't have any idea about Sharpshooter. I'm really sorry. That the Sharpshooter's the lowest level that I have on my character. I don't really play him that much. And wow. Wow.
There you have it, boys and girls. The rank 1 across half the classes in Lost Ark. His response to Sharpshooter buff? Wow.
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 That's it, guys. Get excited. Sharpshooters, stand up. Slowly. One at a
I'm
time,
sorry.
please. Slow down. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up. Hold on. So, just for those of you watching in YouTube, okay, right now we've got 1,700 people right now about watching this live stream. Just to get an idea, I want to see X's in chat right now because you guys can see the chat. X's in chat if you actually are a Sharpshooter main.
If you do that, everybody's gonna start.
No chance. No
See,
chance.
everybody's gonna start typing X.
They're the lies.
Just-
That's fake news, guys.
They don't all main sharpshooters.
Listen,
Come on.
yeah, listen. I've already, dude, the first like 10 X's, I recognized 5 of those X's, and they're definitely not Sharpshooter mains. Okay, all right, that's fake news. All right, let's move on. Let's move on. We're gonna move on, guys. So, for those of you excuse me, that are watching on YouTube, this spreadsheet will be linked in the description below. Big shout outs once again to ATK for putting this together. He has no idea I'm using it, but I'm sure he won't mind. We're going to go ahead and close out of this stream right here.